Our next guest doesn't like the offerings from the GOP candidates or the Obama administration. Joining us now, former Reagan OMB Director David Stockman, who is, there's a lot more to you than the way we've been teasing you this morning, that you just hate the Romney-Ryan budget, and you sound like you're, I don't know, a turncoat Republican that's thrown his lot in with the Democrats. In fact, you think Ron Paul probably has the...
Well, he was the only one that was right about the Fed, and the Fed is the heart of the problem. We have destroyed the capital markets, the money markets. Interest rates mean nothing. Everything is trading off the Fed. Wall Street isn't even home. It's a bunch of computers trading word clouds, emitted by this central bank or that. Now, in that environment, everybody's being given the wrong signal. In other words, the Ryan Romney campaign is about restoring vibrant capitalism. How can you do that when the financial markets are dead? The lifeblood of a capitalist system. That is the problem today.
And the other thing you point out is, why would either side come to the table to deal with long-term entitlement issues when you can borrow at zero?
Yeah, you look at the yield curve this morning. 3-year money, 33 basis points. That's absurd. 1-year money, 11 or 16, whatever it is. All the way out to 5 years, you can fund this debt at 65 basis points. Now, I spent a lot of years in Washington in Congress. I know what it takes to have people fall on the sword, to really reform entitlements, or finally face up to the military-industrial complex, or maybe begin to reform the tax code. They'll never do it if you can keep borrowing free money forever, because the Fed and these lunatics who are running it, and I use that word advisedly, are basically telling the whole world untruths about the cost of money, about the cost of risk, about how you allocate
You wonder why we get bubbles, and when you're keeping things at zero, and obviously that's not what any of these yields, that's not where they should be.
Yeah, well, let me ask.
One thing you did say that you said that the reason you're mad at the Republicans is because they've abandoned the Republican principles of their forefathers, more or less.
Exactly, and it happened. Everything that Ronald Reagan stood for in the 1980s went down the tubes in September 2008 when they bailed out Wall Street, when they came in with this TARP, which was an abomination, when they were unwilling to let Morgan Stanley go down the tubes, which it should have because of the speculation that it was doing and the, irresponsible, reckless balance sheet that it had.
If you can't fail, you shouldn't succeed, right?
That's exactly right. And so we haven't even addressed any of that. We have simply said there was some great crisis. We don't know where it came from. Maybe it came on an asteroid or a meteor from outer space. But it's over, and we're going to keep interest rates at zero for 6 years. Go back to pre-1990. I was around quite a while. No one in 1990 would have thought keeping interest rates at zero for 6 years was anything but lunatic.
And the Romney-Ryan budget, I looked at some of the things you don't like about it.
Yeah.
You hear that Medicare is going to end as we know it, and then the Republicans come back and say, well, wait a second, anyone who's over 55 won't be touched. That's what you don't like about it. It takes 10 years to address Medicare. You want to address it even sooner. And you want to do a lot of cuts that the progressives would not like, but you admit that there's some tax.
Of course.
So they got the wrong guy for their poster child for the left.
I think they do, but here's the thing. We have a $800 billion defense and national security budget. I call that the warfare state. It's absurd that we're spending $800 billion when we have no industrial enemies in the world. Ryan wants to hold it or increase it. All right, $800 billion goes to Social Security. 40 million of the people on it need it. There's 15 million that are affluent, that have many other assets and sources of income. They should be means tested now. Medicare, he's taken a huge hit for Medicare. He doesn't touch it till 2023. Well, why does someone think we're going to get between now and 2023?
It's a third rail, because you can't even say 2023 without getting
what would you cut the defense budget by?
I would cut it by a third. I would radically come in there. I would tell the generals, put your toys away, get out your sharp pencils. We are going to bring this thing down to a level in real terms that Eisenhower in 1960 said we could live with when we were facing a real industrial enemy that actually was able to do some damage.
What else would you cut?
I said I would means test heavily Social Security, Medicare, drastically reduce defense spending.
How would you handle Medicare? Medicare.
Do you
like a voucher program?
It's too late for that. You need to simply means test it. So if you're affluent, you're going to pay a much higher premium. Everybody needs to pay bigger co-pays, bigger deductibles.
Okay, but that is the equivalent of raising taxes on some people.
Yes, and then we have to raise taxes on